Hello students, I hope y'all are doing well today. This is Thursday, April the 9th during spring break. Hope y'all are enjoying your spring break, not having to do any schoolwork. The greenhouse, it's a different story. It doesn't know it's spring break. We still have to work here. Don't go more than about 48 hours without being in here. When the plants are at a stage they need a lot of tender love and care right now, a lot of TLC. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I mentioned the last time we had a lesson from the greenhouse that today we would talk about soils and fertilizer, each a little bit more. Now I wanted to go through several different little things and then get to the soil. We're using Pro Mix here. I mentioned that the last time. It is looser and more porous than any other kind of soil, and they have to be so that water drains out. Now here we are transplanting zucchini squash from a flat that we started the seeds in. And some of y'all saw me put seeds in a few days ago. We just want to fill it in, mash it down, and we're going to put them here. And as you can see, we've already done all of those. We've got a few more here to do. We've got more squash over there that is ready to be transplanted in a day or two. Now, we have already planted 4 more flats. Actually, this will be the 5th flat of vegetables. Now, I've already labeled them Rutgers Select Tomato, okay? And you can see right here from a Parks Seed Company. Now, the other day we had a little bit of our lesson was on tomatoes, and we went over 2 varieties called Mountain Fresh and Parks Whopper. Now, Mountain Fresh and Parks Whopper are fairly new varieties, although Parks Whoppers have probably been around 30 years. They're still considered a new variety, and they're very resistant to a lot of diseases. Now this, Rutgers, and the one we planted here is called Celebrity. They're old tomatoes. They're what some people call heirloom tomatoes. They've been around a long time. They're fairly tough, and fortunately the seeds of those are very inexpensive. They didn't cost us much to buy all these seeds. And if you remember from the last lesson, tomato plants and pepper plants, they don't need to be planted deep. Those seeds do not need to be planted deep. About 1/4 of an inch is really too deep. More like about 1/8 of an inch. So what I'll do is I'll do that, then I'll just sprinkle a little bit on here like so. Take a good look, make sure I don't see any seeds at the top, and I'll just pat it down a little bit gently, okay? And we're going to water all 5 of these seed plants in a minute. So we got Parks Rutgers, then we have Celebrity. This is a pepper plant, Thai hot, very hot pepper plant, similar to a habanero. Here we have chamomile. That's a herb. This is the first herbs I've planted this time. Of course, people make tea out of that. I don't, but some people like that. And then Parks Sweet Rainbow Blend. It's a very colorful bouquet of peppers. Lots of different colors in those peppers. We're going to walk around here a little bit and see our many vegetables that we have coming up. A few of these are things other than vegetables, but we have different pepper plants, tomato plants, squash, cucumbers. Still got 1 flat here, sold a flat the other day of collards. We still got 1 flat of collards there, and then various different vegetables and a couple of flowers down there. Now, we have one that we have transplanted over. This is called a patio tomato or a bucket tomato sometimes. It's made not to be, its variety doesn't need to be put out in the garden. It does well in a pot or in a bucket tub on your patio or back step, out in the yard even, but it does well in a container. Now, we said we would talk about soils and soil types. There's mainly 3 different soil types, and many of you have been in my soil plant class, agriculture class, and we talked about the soil types. We even have a land judging contest in FFA. It's a very practical contest. The 3 major soil types are sand, silt, and clay. Now, if you live in this area, You know, we live in, Dade County High School is located in between two mountains, Sand Mountain, Lookout Mountain. Why do you think we call it Sand Mountain? Sandy soil, okay? Very sandy soil, just like a lot of South Georgia, South Alabama, North Florida, parts of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. Very sandy soil, great soil. Kind of soil that's in parts of Maine, parts of Idaho, sandy soil. But down here in the valley, we have a clay soil. It's a thick, heavy soil. Believe it or not, sandy soils are referred to as light soils, okay? And a clay soil is referred to as a heavy soil, okay? Very heavy soil. And the soils in the valley tend to be heavy in most valleys. And on most mountains, they tend to be more sand or silt soil. Now, no soil is completely 100% anything, hardly. If you go to the beach, yeah, you may find 100% sandy soil to make a sandcastle out of, but it's not, no soil is usually 100%. There's things in there, there's moisture in the soil, there's air in the soil, there's organic material in the soil. A lot of things are going on in the soil, other types of little minerals are in the soil, okay? But these three garbage cans, what we're going to do is let them represent soils. If we put this garbage can and we filled it full of basketballs, and I wish I had a lot of basketballs, but we could fill it full of basketballs, that would represent sandy soil. If we could take a bunch of softballs or volleyballs and fill this garbage can completely full of those, that would represent silt. And then if we could come here and we could fill this garbage can completely full of, say, golf balls or marbles, something small, and we could put it in there. Well, now, you don't have to be real smart. You can figure out it wouldn't take near as many basketballs, number-wise, to fill this up as it would fill this up with golf balls, would it? Or to fill this up with softballs. So which of these soils is water going to drain through the quickest? And that's pretty easy, isn't it? Because of just the massive size of the pore space, water is going to drain through those sandy soils by far the quickest. And through this soil, the silt soil, the second quickest, and through the clay or heavy soil, it's going to go through it very, very slow. That's why when it rains in the valley, if it rains 1 inch in the valley for these kind of soils, it's going to be a while, a lot of times, before you can get out there and plow and work your garden. But it can rain 1 inch in sandy soil, and within a day or two, you can be out there plowing because it will dry out so fast. Now, in a drought, sandy soil has a problem because those plants are going to run out of moisture. But in very wet conditions, when it rains a lot, plants are going to do really well in sandy soil. Okay? So you have sand, you have silt, you have clay. Those are the major three types of soil. Now, usually they're mixed together some way or another. And we call those that are mixed a lot, we call them a loam, L-O-A-M. They're a loam. They're a sandy loam, a clay loam, a silt loam, which means it's predominantly sand if it's a sandy loam, but it has these other particles in there with it too, okay? Now, what about growing things in the soil? If you're trying to grow a plant underground like a potato, a carrot, a radish, a peanut, you're going to want to grow those in sandy soil. You're not going to have success growing plants under the ground. Not very much success in a clay soil. It's just too thick and heavy to let those things underneath the soil grow. Now, just the soil type matter about growing plants? Absolutely not. The soil type's important, but the fertility is also important. Some soils, excuse me, are very, very, very fertile, okay? Some soils are not very fertile. Sandy soils tend to not be very fertile, although their structure is great. Their structure of sandy soils is good. Roots grow through them very, very well, okay? But the water going through it also causes the nutrients to go through it very fast too. And that is called leaching. When the nutrients are in the soil, but they go down through the bottom of the soil, that is called leaching, okay? So the nutrients leach out. That's why we have to put out fertilizers on things we want to grow well. What kind of fertilizer might you ask, okay? There is triple 13 or triple 8. they are very common types of fertilizer. Very common types of fertilizer, okay? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are what AAA or triple 13 have in them. Okay, if it was 34, 0, 0, it would just be all nitrogen. Okay, and that number is really misleading. What that means is it's 34% nitrogen. That means out of 100 pounds of it, only 34 pounds of it are actually going to be nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen is needed for plant growth. Makes the plants green, makes them grow. Phosphorus, on the other hand, is needed for flowers. If you're growing fruits and vegetables, you need a lot of phosphorus, okay? If you're growing baby plants and you want them to flower a lot, you need a lot of phosphorus, okay? That middle number. And then the last number, potassium, it is needed for plant health, for structure of plant. For example, if you have a nice Bermuda grass yard, you're probably not going to need anything but nitrogen. You might need a little of the potassium, okay? But not hardly any phosphorus. You're not wanting Bermuda grass to bloom, are you? You want it to grow and be pretty and be thick. Because Bermuda grass spreads horizontally. It does not spread necessarily through seeds, okay? So it depends on what you're growing as to what kind of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium needs they are going to have, okay? What kind of needs they're going to have. When a tomato plant is young, it could use all three, a little bit of all three. But as it gets up and the plant is about as big as it's going to get, and now you just want it to put on flowers, and those flowers lead, or the blooms, they lead to fruit. You can't have fruit without first having flowers, okay? You got to get those flowers, whether it's on a cantaloupe plant, a cucumber plant, a squash plant, a cotton plant. You have to have the flower to get the fruit, okay? You lose the flowers, you're not going to have any fruit that year. And the fruit, we can say fruit, it could be vegetables, okay? Have to have the flower. The phosphorus gets you that. Again, if you're fertilizing your yard, ball fields, they're notorious for people that they go get a bag of triple 13. We'll put out a lot of triple 13 on there. Usually they don't need triple 13. They just need nitrogen, okay? Ball fields need a lot more nitrogen than they do phosphorus or potassium, okay? As we've gone over our lesson today, hopefully you remember sand, silt, and clay, okay? Sand is huge like a basketball. Silt is more like a softball or a volleyball, and clay is tiny. Clay is sticky because it is so tiny, okay? That's why we can make a pot out of clay, and we try to make one out of sand and it falls apart, right? Okay, so sand, silt, clay, and then the three major plant nutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Now, why put out manure? Okay, whether it be from a chicken or a cow or a pig or a horse, why do we put that manure out on stuff to get it to grow? A lot of organic material in it, and a lot of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It depends on what that animal ate is dependent upon what kind of nutrients are in the manure or poop or litter or whatever you call it, okay? Chicken litter, by the way, of all things that we can get here, is about the most nutritious. Of course, I know I've heard of people paying $20 for a 5-gallon bucket of worm manure. And of course, some of the richest manure in the world is from South America, Guyana, pronounced different ways, bat droppings, okay? Because a bat flies around eating protein. So their manure droppings are much more nutritious. Okay, let's go on through the greenhouse here and see a little bit more. In the last few days, this is our vinca. Get some sunny weather today. It's liking that. Okay, it's liking it. Again, on the water, try not to water it too much, letting it get a little light brown there before we water it. You can see it's going to need a little water today. We're going to water it here in a few minutes. As we go on up through here. See, we have a lot of different kind of flowers, plants. Got tomato plants here. These are Better Boy tomatoes. It's been potted up. We have these are kind of mixed. We have petunias, we have verbena, and we have salvia on this table. 3 different kind of plants. And we've got a few geraniums. Of course, not blooming yet, but you can look it up and see what they're going to look like. Here we have one of the salvia that is blooming. And of course, they'll get taller and thicker and fuller and be real pretty. But that's a salvia that is blooming. Come on up. We have coleus. They're doing what they're going to do, only they're going to get thicker and fuller and bigger. Okay, about 3 of these would fill up this pot. We need about 3 of those to make that pot look full. Of course, we have a lot of ivy that we're growing and different kinds of what they call Jew plants, and there's lots of different kinds of those. Again, we've got a lot of geraniums. They haven't started blooming, but they're really going to look nice. When we come back over here, we have what's called bronze leaf begonia, and you can see they're blooming a little bit. The hanging baskets that you see up there, that's begonias, and of course they're a little farther progressed. They're a little more mature than these are down here. As we come here, I wanted to show you this before I watered it. This is our shade-loving plant. This is a impatient, blooming already, but wow, needing some water. Now, I haven't neglected it. It'll look okay in just a few minutes after we get it watered. But it's the one plant in here, flowering plant that we have that really needs shade more than it needs sunlight. And most of the plants that we grow need sunlight. This is marigolds. Mostly will be yellow. This is a green leaf begonia. And then this particular plant over here is called celosia. So hopefully y'all can remember all these plants. Okay, we're going to be ready to wind our lesson down for today. Again, I appreciate y'all watching. My email address is gregmartin@dadecs.org. I'd be happy to hear from you, and for those of you that have watched and sent me an email about it, I appreciate that. Just keep it going there and ask any question you have, and I'll do my best to answer it. Thank y'all. Goodbye.